So real quick. So I was just going to say welcome along to our second Flourishing Futures Finding Financial Security session. Fran's going to do the backdrop, talk about everything that we've got going on, but I just wanted to say thanks for making it. Thanks to those of you that are listening again to this, and looking forward to a really great session tonight. So over to you, Fran.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming. It's nice to see all familiar faces. Okay, so tonight is, of course, our first panel discussion. Now, that is not as intimidating or as overwhelming as it sounds. It is entirely conversation with like-minded ladies who are just going to share some beautiful lived experience and put some meat on the bones of what we talked about last time. As you guys know, I am a teacher by trade, so there will be a PowerPoint. I promise there will be no homework, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, with that in mind, I know we're at 6:05, but let's get stuck in because we have, of course, got our panel ladies on the call. So we just want to sort of get
you get your things. People will get a chance to meet others, and we have got breakouts and chance for introductions and chat a little bit later. But we'll kick off with the panel and
exactly that.
Okay. There you go.
As is standard practice. And would it be Zoom if I didn't say the words, can everybody see my screen?
I think we can.
Okay, good. Let's just make sure it's on play. I will admit to being a Microsoft Teams person by day, so let's just bear with. Okay.
There you go. All good.
That's what we want. Okay. So, as Nikayla has given you the mouthful, we are indeed flourishing futures, finding financial security. I hope everyone's on tea and coffee and not wine, because you will struggle to say that. Okay, hashtag FFS, and that is finding financial security for those of you raising an eyebrow. Okay, so just a bit of an overview for, obviously we've got some newcomers, we've got some people who engaged in the last session. Bit of context, what is this for? Why are we doing this? Well, the timing couldn't be more appropriate. This is a conversation that Nikayla and I had last year in 2022, and it was very much a, how do we put in place a program that is going to essentially be accessible for all and provide solutions, conversations, and a bit of troubleshooting, because of course that's what Flourish does. It looks at the issues that we're facing and tries to fill it with solutions and people of experience. So with that in mind, that's what we're doing tonight. We've got some phenomenal Flourish Network ladies, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about shortly. Okay, as you guys will know, and I hope will have received at some point, and if you haven't, I will happily resend it this evening after the session. How is it going to run? So you guys are with us in theory until mid-June. That will be a combination of panel-led workshops, which will happen once a month. The timetable has gone out. They more or less land mid-month. So it's Wednesdays, usually. So next month, for example, we've got the 15th of March, 19th of April, and so on and so forth. Again, this is something I can send you just to refresh. Alongside that, we're doing some peer support. What we have come to learn, having piloted this through the Coming Home project, is that having workshops, of course, is educational, informative, and gives us the empowerment that we need to access the services and the advice that we need. But we also need a bit of holistic, emotional, and mindful support behind that, where we can all put our heads together and talk openly, freely, and in a very confidential fashion. So as Nikayla has quite rightly said, panel sessions will be recorded within the sort of remit of what we're happy to go out into the public domain. But there and outside of that, peer support sessions and things like that, which are being scheduled from March onwards with me, will be kept private and of course will not be recorded, because we're talking about sensitive things. So just a reassurance there, guys, anything that we talk about will remain confidential, and I just ask that you're open and honest, as happy as you are willing to share. And hopefully we can put some nice ideas together and I can support you as best we can. Here's our little context, our timetable in terms of what we're looking at. So today, session 2, 15th of February. Now, no pressure on the panel ladies, but we've got inspiration from others here. And it absolutely is inspiration. So a bit of context. When Nikayla and I started talking about putting this program together, what we wanted to do was, as always, make it informative. And the only way to do that is to build case studies and essentially learn from people who are going to give us a bit of information. With that in mind, we kind of selected a handful of ladies throughout the Flourish Network who have overcome challenges, have lived a life, of experience and hurdle and barrier and inspiration and empowerment and everything that goes with life. With that in mind, we have got a few on the call tonight to just talk about the themes that we talked about last time and how they've overcome them, and their lived experience is really going to add value. Alongside that, we have got case studies we put together with a bunch of other phenomenal, inspiring, empowered women. And at some point, yet to be decided, we will share these findings with you.
We're thinking we're doing sort of a couple of months. We've got the case studies there, and we're just checking how the best format is to get those out there, and they're a broad and diverse group of women to sort of gain experience and just tips and learn how their journeys unfolded and how I use that term pushed through the burn don't I, quite
Absolutely.
a lot, how they've pushed through the burn to get where they need to be, and overcome all sorts of things, and what case studies and examples that will resonate with you and be inspiring to you will be completely different to what might work for another. We're all different, but we hope we've got a mix on the panel tonight, and certainly we've got a broader mix as well in our little bank of case studies. There is also going to be a podcast or two that we're likely to do and invite people to get involved with, both people that might have been a case study or wider people from the program as well. So that's just something to think about and we'll get involved in later on, and between now and June basically. But anyway, from far away.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. So tonight is very much conversation led. It's informal in its nature. This is for the ladies on the panel to kind of share their experiences very much about what we talked in our case studies, and just, share their journeys and talk about the hurdles and the barriers that obstruct our progress and our achievement of finding financial security and bolstering that financial resilience. As we go forward, March, April, May, June, as you can see on screen, these are the themes. We won't go too much into that because you'll be getting information kind of drip fed over the next few weeks. In terms of that, what I will say is these sessions that are on screen are panel led, and we will have experts kind of in their field, either sharing on an information, advice and guidance basis, and just, again, always with that lived experience behind the scenes. So we've got some really exciting...
Just a thought, Fran, as well. I know that we've got people on the call tonight and sort of listening in or recapping. There's sort of two types of people. One set of people on the programme, i.e. they're coming to as many workshops as suit them, and they're accessing that peer support and other resources that we've got for a cohort of about sort of 20 to 25 women who've already given us an expression of interest. They're already on the programme, so to speak, and we're in contact with. And then there because we didn't want to just limit these particular workshops to just people on the programme, because we hope the learning will be useful more broadly as well. There will no doubt be people here thinking, what programme? I'm not on a programme, and that's fine. You'll be here just accessing the topic of the night that's jumped out for you, and that's absolutely fine too, and welcome along. And if people are here who had just come for the theme tonight, or have just picked up the thread that this is happening, go, oh, I want to be on the programme, I'd like to express my interest to access more of this, then either let us know in the chat or send us an email after, and there may still be a way to weave you into the peer learning and peer support circles that we've got. So that's just something, in case you're thinking, what's this all about? Most of the people on the call have come to things before, but we definitely got some new people joining us tonight because they found this topic on Eventbrite, or they found this event as part of our wider newsletter and have decided to come along just for this. So thank you, and welcome along to you. And don't worry, if you just want to come to this one and you're not coming back till June or whatever it might be, that's absolutely fine as well.
Yep, absolutely. As Nicola says, it's very much pick and mix. The way this was designed is, as you can see, quite segmented, because one size does not fit all. And some of you will absolutely engage with, personal budgeting, debt management, and other people will be looking at the other end of the spectrum in terms of pensions and wills and investments. So, it's robust, but as I say, it's ad hoc, non-committal, and you join what you think you can sort of draw some experience and practicality from. So absolutely no pressure, guys. Mm-hmm. No, as I say, teacher Fran will allow. Okay, next slide. So we're going to meet our panel. I'm going to jump out, and forgive me, ladies on the panel, but I have been snooping online and I've got some beautiful little bio pictures. So there we've got dazzling Una here. So a bit of context, guys, because I don't just want to throw them into the limelight without any sort of background. Una is an absolute phenomenal, empowered, inspired woman. I'm going to let you read this little blurb. The PR in me couldn't help it. But ultimately, why have I invited her to join us on the panel? Because she's open, she's honest, she's pragmatic, and more than anything has had an exceptional and varied life and can really add value to sort of the conversations we're having around financial resilience and I suppose economy and sociology as well. There's always a bit of that in there. But also she's going to talk about some hard-hitting issues, I do hope, in terms of, as I've said here, we're talking about things that affect women, you know, menopausal leave and things like that. And of course, childcare. These are issues that came up in session 1 when we all got together in our breakout rooms. So it's going to be nice to hear from kind of lived experience and background, mothers, daughters, providers, etc. Moving on swiftly, we've got the wonderful Jenny Matthews. Now, those of you who joined the call at 6 on the dot will know that Jenny has been super busy over in Stockport, doing amazing things with women in business. This is a woman who is a font of knowledge with regards to kind of business leadership, management, mentoring. So very well placed to sort of chime in and give us some opinions on the state of the world, the finances, the financial resilience, and just her personal experience. So we're not here to deep dive into the entrepreneurial font of knowledge. It is literally conversational. So if you don't follow these ladies on social media, for one, I absolutely recommend it. And then of course we've got Karen. Now, Karen is a powerhouse and has been working with me on the Coming Home project. Coming Home project, as you guys will know, is working with women who are fresh out of prison. We trialed the financial resilience program and that's been ongoing. We've got some ladies here tonight who have sort of the two worlds collide. Thank you for attending. Karen has been working in the background with mindfulness and positive mental health strategy and emotional well-being, because when we talk about finance as British people and as ladies and often overwhelmed by society and stress and pressure, etc., of course we need the safeguards in place. So Karen has been phenomenal in facilitating that with me for Coming Home. More than that, she's here tonight to talk about her lived experience and her personal journey with regards to financial resilience. So I'm super excited. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to the ladies. And again, we will just have this as a conversational. I'm not going to pinpoint or pick on anyone. These are the themes, ladies, of the panel. We've got Una, Jenny, and Karen. Let's just start a dialogue. And of course, any participants who want to kind of engage and respond to what the ladies have to say, please do raise the little hand or whatever it is that happens on Zoom, or just ask when is appropriate. Okay. With that in mind, I will hand over whoever wishes to take the mantle and start talking. Regarding this little spider diagram here, we've got the themes that came out of the case studies. So would you like to introduce yourselves, ladies, as alongside my little PowerPoint presentation?
And I'll watch out for any hands or comments in the chat and things like that. So
wonderful. Thank you.
I'll throw myself in, Fran.
Yes, Jenny, go on.
Clearly, I didn't read the instructions properly because I didn't know I was on a panel.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that's what happens when you get an invitation. You just say yes, Jenny. Okay. Well, with that in mind, would you like to tell us essentially our conversations that we had regarding the case study, I suppose, is the theme of tonight. Your lived experience, how you feel, what financial resilience means to you.
Financial resilience is really important. It's wrapped up with so many other things, isn't it? It's one of the cornerstones on, Maslow's triangle. I'm sure they don't put finance down the bottom, but in my world, money's up there with oxygen.
Absolutely.
No matter how nice we are and good things that we do for other people, I still can't go in the supermarket and demand a loaf of bread for free. So I need to earn some money. And it's very interesting. Another position that I've been offered recently sounds very grand. I don't know if it is grand or not, but I'm now an enterprise fellow for Bolton University. And I had my first session today. And I was quite in my thoughts this morning when I'm getting ready and driving in the car. How different will these women be that have gone through being a student at the university and then graduates, and then they're on this particular accelerator program now to push their businesses forward. How different will they be? Say from the women I met in Stockport yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, they weren't any different.
No.
Challenges are the challenges are the challenges. They're exactly the same. And, you know, ignoring the money, ignoring the numbers in our business is a huge thing that we all do quite often. And the reason why Simone very kindly asked me to run the sessions, the first of which was yesterday in Stockport, it was actually titled up, Putting the Enterprise Back into Social, because we want to give so much. I know there's women on this call that I know really well that offer so much of their time and their energy, and it doesn't necessarily do them good in the end. You know, so financial resilience, extremely important. Emotional resilience, extremely important. This kind of support for each other, for all of us, very important.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. I know when you and I sat down and we did our little conversation regarding your case study, these are the things that we talked about, which was, you know, women considering starting businesses, women in self-employment, and whether or not in the current climate and that absolute necessity and overbearing concept of financial resilience, was it enough? Was it safe? Was it the right time? Was there the bravery? Was this the support? Ultimately, were we funneling people back into kind of the mainstream job market for that sense of financial security, which is a paycheck at the end of the day? So, you know, these are things that definitely flourish, you know, supporting women in social enterprises and things like that and startups is one of the fibers. And of course, that's a lot of our ladies on call tonight are social entrepreneurs and will be feeling kind of the financial resilience, the emotional resilience of running enterprises in the VCSE sector. And, you know, the cost, does it outweigh the benefit? I don't know. Okay, Una,
We'll come back to that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear more about how you feel. Obviously, we've talked about financial resilience and sort of the origins of It's Her and how that came to be.
Yeah, well, hello everyone. It's really nice to be here this evening, and hello to all those very familiar experts that I'm privileged to be on the panel with. I was listening to Jenny, and Jenny, you're so right about the financial resilience being right up there as importance. And I would add a little caveat in the sense that when it comes to entrepreneurship and women in business, sometimes our desire or our need for financial resilience can be a bit of a barrier to creative, you know, sort of thinking about setting up your own business, because we tend to be very sort of nurturing, giving, and take our responsibilities in terms of the family setup. So this is a little bit of a danger, a bit of a trap that a lot of women fall into, because they think, right, well, I'm better off with that part-time job or that job that pays okay, because it fits in with everything else in my life. And I think probably what I think we have in common as experts on the panel, and that includes, you know, yourself, Fran, and Flourish, is what we're trying to get across to people, is to have that, to build on that courage, to be able to set something up and to feel confident about doing it. It's very difficult. We innately don't want to shut down. We don't want to shut doors if it brings us a little bit of financial security, but sometimes you just have to take the leap of faith and do it. And hopefully, with all of these wonderful experts around in the region and great courses that people can access and workshops and peer support, there is enough there to encourage women to do it. Because from personal experience, and there are many times when people say to me, and close friends say to me, why do you do this? It seems like such a hard work, especially when we talk about funding. But I would say that, you know, doing something that you feel very passionate about, that matches your values, that you enjoy, you know, you've got a natural acumen to do, whether it's a creative project or you're just great at organizing, you can find your niche. And that's, I hope, something that we can really get across with our projects. And I know that's definitely the case with Jenny, who I might add that it was on a program that I was with Jenny, that Jenny was co-delivering, that was the seed in terms of putting me personally on the right track. So we all, you know, we're all paying forward in terms of what we can offer and support women with.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I love that. No, thank you for that very much. And no, in terms of the collaboration between you and Jenny, I think I've attended an event with Flourish where you've both been in situ and been on a panel together. And in fact, that's why I thought you would be good fusion this evening. Because, you know, Jenny, to your credit, absolutely one of the reasons I wanted you here tonight is on that basis that you're very pragmatic, you're very forthright, and you have a way of inspiring, and it is encouraging that leap of faith. And for session 2 of the Finding Financial Security program, that's what we need. We need a bit of encouragement, we need a bit of empowerment, and we need to take that leap of faith. That is what this program's about, is that positive engagement, and that's really taking the bull by the horns. And it's a frustrating thing for all, I think, that so often the word resilience is bandied around far too easy for women as well, that we have to be resilient, we have to be emotionally resilient, we have to be financially resilient. It's exhausting, but ultimately, and as Una has quite rightly said, we're paying it forward, and that is the intentions of this and the ladies on the panel, is that all of these themes, it's for you guys as participants to hear, resonate, and really, you know, take some hope from it more than anything, that it can be done, it is being done every minute of every day. And with the support that we've got, you know, in the coming weeks, the coming months, and with women like this in the Flourish network, you know, we can achieve Maslow's hierarchy. And Jenny, just phenomenal on the basis that you've mentioned Maslow's hierarchy. And as we move forward through this presentation, that is one of the things that we're going to look at as a group. However, before we do that, I would love to hear from Karen, because Karen is a woman of wise words and wisdom. So I would love to get your input on what the ladies have said and what your feelings are around financial resilience. Have we lost Karen?
I don't think so. No.
There we go. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
There we
ladies. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, something I've been thinking about last couple of weeks around, you know, financial resilience, you know, being a woman. And I want to talk about 3 things. One is assets, one is time, and one is self-worth. And what I want you all to understand as women, that you are your greatest asset. Like, sometimes we look external for assets, you know, like the car, the house, the money, when really it's about you. And the more you value yourself as an asset, you know, the more you value your own self-worth, that is actually reflected externally by the things that people might recognize as assets. So I'm just wanting to put that into a concept and to get you to think about that. And I don't mind sharing some of my journey. I don't mind sharing some of my personal journey, you know, with that I left a relationship last year where I felt my sense of self, or my sense of self-worth, particularly around finances, had been diminished, if you will, and I've had to, you know, come out of that relationship, start again. And I'm lucky that I have got tools of, you know, using mindfulness, using resilience, using neuroscience to, you know, build myself out of that situation. And to me, it really is about, as women, if we value, we are our greatest asset. And with our assets is our time. Like, our time is our greatest asset, because it's the time and our focus and our dedication. What Una was saying about putting that into our passion, or putting it into what we want to create. And it's not being kind of distracted and not valuing. When you value your time, you put boundaries around what is important to you, you know, where it is you need to move in that direction, where you're following your own values, you're following your own direction.
Sometimes it takes some time, and sometimes you need some support to work out what those values are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why programs like this, hopefully, and other things we do through Flourish, has been helpful to get people. We just get lost in not ever thinking about those things. Sometimes it can take you till you're 30 or 40 or more to give yourself some space to actually do that exercise.
And move like an internal journey to make what you're trying to create externally, particularly around finance, more, you know, more of ease. And you're right, Michaela, you know, it takes time. You know, I'm still on that journey of
time or shocks or
yes,
or
I'm
problems.
still on that journey of that kind of building, you know, my self-worth, you know, really valuing my time and myself as, you know, as an asset. You know, our skills, our knowledge, our experiences, the things that we have got available to us, our own resources. And, you know, we've all got skills, talents, experiences, you know, something to give. And, you know, it's like, well, let's celebrate that. Let's value that in, you know, in who you are, and start, you know, sharing that as a way to build your own financial resilience. Well, Fran, you were going to say something?
No, absolutely. I was, to be honest, Karen, I was having a sip of tea whilst you were, you know, sharing with us. But absolutely, you know, these are themes that we have talked about in previous sessions with the Coming Home project, which is self-worth. Absolutely, is intrinsic to bolstering that financial resilience. One of the themes that came up in the first session of this a few weeks ago with Nicola and I and the ladies was in terms of, you know, I suppose putting a pin in it in terms of self-worth. One of the ladies suggested and posed the question, how do we ask for a pay rise, and how do we acknowledge our own self-worth, you know, inviolable in employment, and in terms of a real tangible kind of outcome, how do we do that? We know our self-worth. When we find that, we absorb it, we resonate, and then how do we actually impose it? How do we make other people feel that, you know, and also monetize that, of course. You know, it's mainstream media at the moment, isn't it, in terms of pay rises, cost of living, and people being, you know, paid as they should, and what they're worth, what they're owed. So I'll put that to the panel. How do we feel? Because I'd love to hear your advice on this as women in industry. You know, in terms of valuing your self-worth, how do we kind of exert that in a positive way to bolster that financial resilience?
Fran, as well, I'm just wondering, you know, it'd be great to, you know, even get in the mindset of, you know, can you remember that time when you felt that you were being underpaid and you had to charge more, whether it was in a job, you know, and going for that promotion or that pay rise, or whether it was, you know, in your business you're running now. Those sorts of tips or recollections will probably be really helpful. But, you know, whether or not you got it was another matter. It doesn't have to be a successful ask, but you know, just having the balls to to do it, and the approach is sometimes a helpful tale.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the themes that came up last time, and again, you know, you ladies working in the social sector, is being paid on time. You know, your self-worth, you invoice, you send, and then, you know, this is one of the things that one of the ladies posed. It's having that sense of self and that strength and that confidence to say, come on, you know, this is my time, this is my effort, this is my passion. What would you recommend, ladies? As Nicola said, can you think of an example, positive or negative, in terms of owning those conversations?
I would just chip in that before I set up, it's her story as a community interest company. I'd had many years of being in project management of big construction projects, and it was always we weren't afraid to talk about money. You know, I mean, everybody, and we were talking about consultants, and that one of the fascinating things that I found when running the community interest company and doing workshops was that women very often totally undervalue what they're doing. And unfortunately, we're up against it when, if we're running a company that's perceived as being a non-profit, somehow that translates to a lot of people as being, you're doing it for virtually nothing or nothing. And it really isn't. Everybody has got to eat. And it for any of us, it's about proper budgeting, properly understanding and costing whatever project or craft you're delivering. And I would say benchmark, you know, be a bit cheeky, go and find other organizations that might be, or companies that are delivering the same. Do your research, find out what they're charging, and come up with the balance that you're happy with. But it, you know, the important thing to remember is it helps no one in the industry if you undervalue your skills. Because what happens, and I can relate to this totally from construction, when times are hard, and this is cost of living issue that we're dealing with at the moment, some people who may be slightly better able to really undercut will go in and undercut. And effectively, it creates chaos. You have to be fair about what your skill set is and what the costing is, and don't just go in and you know, take hundreds of pounds off the fee or your charges, because, as I say, it does not help anyone in the sector.
Absolutely. No, I love that advice. And I'm sure a lot of ladies who are here tonight can absolutely resonate from that. And I'm probably ruminating on, am I charging too much? And I do agree, as a non-profit, people do seem to think that it's charity and you're giving it away and it's for the good of your heart, but the good of your heart does not put food on the table. Jenny, I mean, I'm interested to know how you feel about that, because obviously you do a lot of work in enterprise and business guidance, startup, etc. Would you agree with Una on that?
Absolutely, but there's a couple of things, and I hate these two words, not for profit. We should just wipe that off out of our vocabulary. I don't know where that came from.
We don't, yeah. And you can do, you know, you definitely can wipe that out.
No, but let's make a pledge. We're never going to say that again. I hate it.
I think sometimes people say it to try and help people get it, but it can do a disservice, just as Una was saying.
Wrong. It might have worked at some point, but it just doesn't work now. There are better ways of phrasing what we do. You know, I run 3 companies. One's a kick, so I'm in that not-for-profit sector, and the 2 other limited companies. You know, I like money. You can do a lot of good with money. It's not a dirty word. We have to, and that's, you know, what Ona was saying about, if we just cut our prices, all it is a race to the bottom. Who's going to get there first and go out of business, or mentally become unbalanced, or physically become unbalanced? It's just wrong, which is why, you know, putting the enterprise back into social, like Nicola will have heard me bang on about these kind of things before. I don't just support social enterprise. Yeah, I love enterprise. I'd run one myself. However, it's the enterprise bit that fires me up. How do I make this work? I'm a huge, as I know Una is as well, I'm a huge problem solver. How do I make this work? What's the challenge? How do I make it work? Who do I need? What other resources do I need? And that's all that being self-employed is. We solve problems for people.
Absolutely.
You know, social enterprise or it's not. We just solve problems. That's all we do. And I think that gets forgotten by, not on this call, but I know some brilliant women all over Greater Manchester that run social enterprises. And they have been so badly hurt by organisations that they've done work for that haven't even paid them or not paid them on time. Some who've never, ever actually paid them, even though they put their invoices in. It's just wrong, And they should close organisations like that. It's wrong. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Well, let's sort that, Jenny, off air. We'll go and we can become bounty hunters for a fee.
Love it.
There we go. I found a new enterprise. Absolutely. No, okay, let's get that on Channel 5. It feels like a winner. Okay, good. Okay, what I wanted really to kind of round up this beautiful conversation is to pose the question to each of you on the panel. How do you feel, first and foremost, you've achieved financial resilience and financial security to the best of your attainment? And if so, how do you feel you have done? Okay, who should I pick on? Karen, I'll pick on you.
And if I'm allowed to throw an extra
Please
layer
do.
on there, it might be, and what sacrifices possibly might have had to be made in order to do that, or that might be an aside or something we talk about in the breakouts. But
absolutely,
this stuff is not straightforward. It isn't particularly sugar coated, and it is hard.
Absolutely. So, Karen, I'd love to hear your input on that. So ruminating.
Yeah, I do feel financial resilient in terms of I have created more income than certainly when I was in the relationship. But I think to leave that relationship, I've made sacrifices as well in terms of leaving a house. My daughter's 18. I chose to leave the family house. I've had to start again, left with no furniture basically, and it's that kind of really starting again from what I had. And if anyone is in that situation on this call, I'd highly recommend getting a solicitor, which is what I did. In the end, we tried to resolve it ourselves, finances, and so that would be my first advice for anyone that's in contemplating leaving or in that situation, and to actually feel that it's this thing of what we've already touched upon about self-worth and what we're worth and what we're actually entitled to as well. It's so easy to undervalue ourselves, and I see that I was in that situation. I had to come out of that situation to recognize that my value and my input had a worth.
And Karen, have you had to do a lot of it's imagining how you get to that point? Have you, and I'm thinking of my experience and other people's experiences, have you had to do a lot of work on yourself in order to
very lot of work on myself?
A lot of work,
yeah.
That might be thinking,
mindfulness,
that might be
changing my mindset, self-care, letting go of expectations. A lot of it is around reframing of who I thought I was and realizing I'm not that person. I am actually financially resilient, and I have actually got assets that I didn't know I even had assets. And it's that kind of, I can't, I don't know if there are any women in this situation. I don't know. I'm going down, I really urge you to sometimes recognize that we have more value than what we think that we have, and out of that relationship, I realized that I have actually got assets, not only my own assets, but physical assets, and I'm actually better off, I financially than what I was in the relationship.
And that just in context, that's giving you the freedom and the peace of mind
Yeah,
to use your energy to further your goals around lots of things, including the social enterprise that you've been running for the last number of years, and
yeah,
with it, you're reaching communities money that you've got to grow it, the focus and the resolve and the confidence to take those steps without, the same level of things dragging you back.
exactly. Yeah, to kind of really, move forward with that now. Yeah. What was the question, Fran? Have I gone off topic?
No, don't you worry. It was essentially just, do you feel you are financial resilient and you've achieved financial security? And if so, how? And Nicola quite rightly said, were there sacrifices to do so?
Sacrifice, yeah.
No, okay. No, and thank you for speaking so openly and honestly. And what I would say to that end, as I say, this panel was born out of lived experience, and it is because we've got a broad spectrum of ladies who've, lived a variety of different experiences. And as this program develops, with regards to, Karen's advice, seek a solicitor, absolutely. But what I would say is when we come on to one of the later sessions, we will be talking about relationship breakdown, and on the panel supporting that session will be a matrimonial solicitor who can give some pragmatic information, advice and guidance surrounding that. So that is just another kind of string to the bow to make sure that women have got the information that they much need.
Covering all angles, yeah.
Absolutely. And you've heard it from the horse's mouth there, Karen's recommendation and what she did and the action she took to achieve that financial resilience and improved self-worth and positive mental health. So thank you. Okay, Jenny, how do we feel? Financial resilient, financially secure, and if so, how?
Definitely financially resilient. I always have been. I left home when I was 17. I'm one of these very, very fortunate, blessed people that had a lovely childhood. I've got some of a very, very big family around me. I'm very close to all my siblings and everybody. A lot of huge support structure there. But I left home at 17 because I wanted to just get on with everything. And I wanted to earn my own money right from an early stage. I've been through, I don't know the detail of your marriage split up, Karen. I'm on to my second husband now. I don't intend to have any more. I'm on to my second one now. That'll be enough. But my first husband's still a very good friend of mine. So I've been through all of that. I moved out of the household. I wanted something different. Nothing wrong here, just wanted something different. So you have to find a way. As I said before, I like to think I'm a good problem solver. So am I financially resilient? Absolutely. If I had to take a job cleaning the toilets because I needed that extra money this week, would I do it? Absolutely. You have to do whatever you do. Am I financially secure? Now, that's a really, really interesting question because it depends, doesn't it?
It is, honestly. I mean, it's very kind of
level. Am I secure? Lots of people would say yes. Do I say yes? No, I don't, because I want more. And it's not that I want more money. I can do a lot of good things with money, but I like the challenge, and I just like the excitement of pushing on further. So who knows? Who knows if we're talking this time next year? Who knows what anybody might say, myself or any of the other lovely ladies here, of what we've achieved then. I've had, in all my years, going back to whether, things that change in women's lives. I've worked in this industry. I've worked for myself forever in different guises. And I've worked in this industry of enterprise support for a long time now. The opportunities that have opened for me in the last 18 months have been phenomenal. It's very interesting, isn't it, in a time of crisis? Well, things are happening. And it's just, I wonder why. And I might not ever find out, but,
I love that. I just love the tenacity and fire when you speak. Absolutely. No, it is. It makes us all want to get up and go and face tomorrow.
It's a bit like Karen talking about assets, isn't it? If you know your assets and you know how to see certain opportunities and you're adaptable, that you'll survive.
Absolutely.
Find creative ways. I know it is very creative, but find creative ways to evolve.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Thank you, Jenny. Okay, Una, last but not least, I'm dying to hear it. Financial resilient, financially secure. What do we think?
Well, I'm definitely in the Jenny camp there with the financial resilience. Financially secure. No, I don't consider myself financially secure because I do recognize, having experienced a couple of recessions, that nothing is in the bag unless you're sort of extremely wealthy. And even then, there are still risks. If anything, that the positive that comes out of the experience of the pandemic and the cost of living crisis, it does demonstrate how quickly things can change. And if you think anyone who's in a business will know that there were a lot of businesses that considered themselves to be very buoyant, and then literally within about 3 or 4 months they found they were, at great danger, and quite a few have gone under. So I'm always looking at other opportunities, other inventive, creative ways of making money for the business. And from my perspective, it's a very peculiar thing because I don't fear. I have in my past been in situations where I'm virtually on skid row because of nothing that I could have controlled. It's just, horrendous circumstances that came about. But I don't fear anymore about that. Maybe I'm deluded. I don't know.
Or maybe you've learned to trust yourself. I think, there's a comes of, not everybody necessarily can do it, but you can definitely learn to trust yourself, I think, and draw on that strength of having been through some horrific stuff before. You've got the resolve to, to dust yourself down again, sort of thing.
Yes. Yes. And whilst I want to create a business that gives me an element of long-term security, I see the organization as something that I am building to pass on, because it is a CIC, and to kind of have that can carry on at a time when I'm no longer even able to work. It should still be an entity. That's the ideal for me personally, to carry on doing the good work, because sadly, as we have these conversations a lot within the organization and with collaborators, and as much as women have come quite a long way especially in the last 45 years, particularly in terms of being able to access opportunities, there are still enormous barriers. And so I feel more, I suppose, an element of anxiety or concern about the next generations, because I'm aware that quite a few opportunities that I had as a young person, and like every other young person, you don't realize just how fortunate you are until later on. And I think young people, especially young women now, have got still huge barriers to be completely independent. It's very difficult for young people to be able to get on the property ladder, for young women still to access the career opportunities if they're thinking about children. We've still got all of these issues that we talked about 40 years ago. And so there's still a lot to do. And so I just feel that that's my focus. Whilst there are still things to do, I will find a way. So I have the financial resilience, but I don't yet feel financial security.
Thank you for that. Again, your open and honest approach is exactly what this program is about, is hearing it from a lived experience point of view, which is very pragmatic. I love that we're also looking at the balance in terms of our differences of opinion in terms of what financial security is to the individual. It's such an individualistic question, isn't it, in terms of, you know, how we feel about money as individuals. So hearing other people's perspectives and what it means to them is what's going to inform this moving forward. So you've hit on a key word there that I can't not pick up on, which is barriers. And it's something that we talked about in a previous session, the first session of this program, a few weeks ago. And the barriers, one of the ones that came up, and it makes me think of Karen, who's doing some amazing work with people who are suffering with long COVID, is ill health, is mental health, is anxiety, it's physical health, it's disability, you know, it's burnout. How do we feel about, are they overwhelming, impinging factors in terms of achieving financial resilience if we've got other factors and barriers at play? How do we feel about that? And you know, I'll open this to the panel, of course, and then you know, once you guys have had time.
It's one of those many wider external factors, a bit like you were saying. You've got societal external factors, but we've certainly got a lot of people within the program and within certain other programs we're working on, where with the best will in the world, you know, if you've got a chronic health condition, or if you've been suffering from, you know, ill mental health for some time, or you're working through that, or if you've got care responsibilities of others with ill health that you are the core person for, you know, it's a biggie. But you know, how any thoughts around, you know, with the best will in the world, you know, how you pace yourself to be able to take those steps forward, to build your financial resilience and to keep it, or to, you know, persevere with your plans for your social venture or whatever else, getting that job or whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, pacing, you know, for me is a huge part of what I do, you know, in terms of still having long COVID myself and physically limited in terms of physical activity and how much driving or how much face-to-face I can deliver. So that limits my income ability. So how I'm getting around it is by collaborating with other people. You know, I'm always on the lookout for people that I resonate with, you know, like I could maybe set something up and, you know, have somebody else doing the delivery. So that's the model, and I'm partnering with other people where I get the funding and somebody else does the delivery on you know, certain aspects, and you know, building up a team, because, you know, working together and collaboration, you know, particularly if you've got disabilities, you know, as I have, or you've got illnesses, is a way that you can still move forward with that financial resilience, because you can still deliver, but you're just doing it in a different way, or a different fabric. Yeah.
And you might not have thought of this, Karen, but since talking to you, a few days ago, and you showed me some whizzy gadgets that you managed to get through an access to work scheme, and talking about this with other programs and stuff. I was talking to somebody on the phone last night, and I was telling her about your whizzy gadgets, as I'm calling them. I think we need a session on whizzy gadgets for sure, and how to, whether you're eligible for certain schemes, or whether these things exist, they may or may not be easy to navigate, or even if you're not eligible for stuff, but there's kits out there to speed up our lives, save us time and keep us sane, because we've not got hours of notes to have to write up, or whatever the thing is. You know, it's I'm just throwing that in there just as a something that we'll try and come back and touch on, because I think some of these other ways to make our lives easier will be it all helps towards the financial resilience. If you've not had to pay for that kit to help you get ahead, or if you've got that in your hands and you're using it and it's saving you a day a week, then it's all more time to think about everything else.
Yeah, and I think that that's a big key about accepting support as well. You know, funny enough, I had a training session about how to use some of these whizzy gadgets that I've got.
Basically, it's a pen. It's a pen that writes on a notebook, and it goes in automatically onto your laptop. So it's not that wizzy, but it looks
no,
like
but
magic.
I've got other things.
That'll be show and tell.
No, but the point was that this guy was like, you know, introducing, walking me through. We just discovered that I was stressing because I got these links to download these two programs, and I didn't have room on my computer. And I'd already come to the conclusion, oh, I need to find somebody now to buy a computer. And this guy came on, he was there to support me. He said, you know, hey, look, he said, you know, she should be given a computer because, you know, he checked my drive and everything and said, you know, you've no room to accommodate this software that you need. So he actually helped me how I would go around, you know, claiming for the computer. And I think when I had my assessment, I'm sure she mentioned about a computer, and I'm saying, oh no, I'm you know, I'm all right with my computer, and I don't need Grammarly, and really I do need Grammarly, and I need a computer, and I think that's the other thing about that, receiving support from other people is a big thing as well. A huge, hit me very hard that this morning. Yeah.
Oh well, thanks, Karen. I just thought there's always me being a nosy part. I always know a little bit too much to just one more thing. They do call me Columbo, but Sally's fine putting in there. But I just thought it'd be helpful as another lens
No, I think it
about
is. Yeah.
things as well. So
Yeah.
I'll shut up
Yeah.
and let somebody else hop
Yeah.
in with our sort of final. You know that this is the final question, I promise.
Indeed. No, so I will pitch that to Jenny, if that's okay, Jenny.
So I can't remember the question.
We were talking about essentially what it is if you are kind of long-term ill health and you have barriers to kind of maintaining employment, social enterprise, etc., how we kind of bolster that resilience and how we overcome that, and if you had any recommendations, etc.
Absolutely. So as you can imagine, when I run a program and maybe however many 20 women on a program, there's always an amount of women who have got some kind of challenges, whether they be mental or physical or whatever. And I think for me, you know, we can only do what we can when we can with what we've got, can't we? We can't, there's none of us superhuman. None of us super women, even though we might think that we want to be. And I think it's just being honest with yourself as to what you can do. We're not competing against each other. It's not a race to the end. You know, just because somebody does this week and you've only done, you know, a little tiny bit, or you've not even managed to, I don't know, even read a page of a book to help with your personal development or something, and everybody else is saying, oh, I've read a book a month or a book a week. It doesn't matter. It's not a race. I think it's about being honest and open with yourself, and as Karen rightly said, putting yourself with people that you know, like, and trust, that can help and support you, either with some of the things that you can't do, and I'm sure that there are things that you can do, Karen, that I can't do, even though you know, you might have health issues that I haven't got, you know, touch wood. And I think it's probably one of the reasons, and I don't know if this is the same for other women who in the group that run women-only programs, women share very with each other. And women can work out very quickly if there's another woman in the group that's either fibbing or not being as honest and open as they could be. And it settles very quickly. And women want to help women. Women want to help anybody, really, at the end of the day, but we want to support each other. And I think, you know, for some, I've never been shy about asking for help, because, you know what, I'm very aware of my limitation and my flaws that I have, so that I need lots of other people in my businesses and my personal life to help me do whatever it is I want to do. I know it's not quite that easy for everybody, maybe because of conditioning or things that might have happened in other people's lives. But I think when we get into a safe environment, which hopefully this is, I'm sure that it is, we will learn how to maybe ask for help in a practical way, or maybe in just a supportive way.
Absolutely. And you've hit the nail on the head there. That is the intention and the assurance, really, from my perspective as the facilitator with this, with Flourish and with Nicola, is that this is, a point of support from here on out, in that the peer support sessions, of course, we will wax lyrical and we will put the world to rights and we'll put forward pragmatic solutions. The panel workshops are here to kind of advise, inform and empower. But the absolute tenet of this is that we're creating a safe space where we can speak openly and honestly about something that probably, society and familial or whatever it may be, our learned behaviors often overwhelm us in terms of talking about finance and about money, and it's all a bit taboo. We're debunking that massively. Much thanks to you guys leading the way and paving the way in that open and honest approach. As Jenny says, we all have our limitations and we all have our abilities to kind of collaborate, innovate and share. So I would recommend that as a peer group, especially as we move forward, to support one another and, don't burn out, don't overwhelm, don't overbear, but by all means do collaborate and support one another. That's the hope of this for sure. Una, last but not least, we will wrap it up and hear your thoughts on kind of barriers to financial resilience and security.
Well, of course, all of this comes up constantly within the programs that we deliver and any events. And we often say, women can do amazing things. They do have an ability. We do have an ability to plate spin, but just because we can doesn't mean we have to. And that, I think, very often is something that women, are with struggle to sort of find a balance. And I think one of the other things that somebody said to me a long time ago, before I set up my own company, when things were very chaotic in my life, and he was a counselor, and he said, you need to simplify your life. And I think that is something that out of simplicity comes clarity. And if you sort of break things down into manageable amounts, and not feel that just because you are a perfectionist and you can deliver those things and you are pretty good at using this, that and the other technology, or you're great at organization, you don't have to do everything. You have to be realistic and know what you can delegate, and don't be afraid to delegate. And I think if people here tonight that are anything like me, one of the things that I have constantly had to try and keep myself in check about is that being a perfectionist is not always the best route, because it slows progress down in some cases. So you might do something really well and better than anybody else, but if it's going to hold a project back or an activity back or progress for the organization back, delegate it and accept that it's not necessarily going to be as perfect as what you would do, or it might sort of, you'll find a different outcome from it, which will be a bit better anyway. So that would be my advice in terms of self-care. Keep things quite simple, manageable on a daily basis, and don't think it's always down to you to do.
Absolutely. No, I love that, measured, balanced approach. I think we're all guilty of, being or thinking we're invincible, infallible, and taking on the world as women, most definitely. Some of you mothers, wives, hard workers, entrepreneurs, managers, innovators, etc. Sometimes it's okay to just be you and take a minute and, press pause. And as Una says, delegate. Absolutely. I know we build mountains when we're creating these social enterprises, and it's often born out of the brainchild of one, and then it's built upon your shoulders. But no, take that breath and always feel safe to ask for help. Okay, right, that sounded like we needed a little come by our guitar moment there. But with that in mind and that beautiful sort of positive vibe, what I'm going to do is we will scoot on over to, dare I say, the next PowerPoint slide, if it's come back to life. Yes, we're going to have a little comfort break now because we've had a lot to process there, and our panel have shared and been with us for an hour and really given us some beautiful insights. It is 9 minutes past 7. So let's take a 5-minute break, regroup, come back here at 7:15 if everybody's happy with that. Get a cup of tea, a coffee, a break, etc. And then we're going to have some breakout rooms as we did last time, and just talk about what we've learned and heard this evening thus far, and really sort of start to build it around the sessions that are coming up in the next few months. I need a cup of tea. The mouth has gone dry.
Further questions as well, and further questions with our panel people who'll be scattered around these rooms. And just because we've got our panel of experts, as it might have been sort of built out there, everybody's experts, and we've got, as we can see in the chat, we've got loads of experience, loads of interesting things to have a look at. So or at least talk further around where people want to. So yes, get the kettle on, and we'll see you at 1:15.
Perfect. Okay.
Apologies, I clearly didn't read the email properly.
No, don't you worry. No, I tell you, Jenny, considering you've done it on the fly, I'm even more impressed. No, absolutely, you can come again. All right, guys, thank you very much. Please go and have a cup of tea.
We'll be here. We're not turning anything off. I'm just going to put the kettle on then.
Okay. Let's hold that thought.
Quick brew. Lots of ground covered.
Hi, Nicola and Fran. I'm sorry.
Hey.
I think I'm going to really struggle to stay on for the and I think it might be better if I leave now than just do a little snippet of the breakout rooms, because
no, good timing to
distribute people better.
Absolutely.
So no problem at all. But hopefully that's been useful to sort of listen in on, and
really great.
Yeah, I know you're one of the ladies that's part of our case study series, so we're looking forward, as part of other people that we've been talking to drip feed insights, from in other ways.
I'm hoping Fran's going to catch up with me about that, because
yes,
she sent us a text out, so that would be great. So lovely.
Wonderful.
Oh, thanks
right. Nice to see you.
Cheers.
See you soon. Catch up soon.
Thanks all.
Yeah, thank you. So there's always a way when you record. I'm going to just press pause so people aren't kind of hanging about. I'm sure they can fast forward. So we're just back from the break there, aren't we, Fran? So go for it.
Absolutely. I can see lots of nice cups of something and no glasses of wine. I'm very impressed, ladies. No, come on. Okay, so I will go back to exactly where we left off, which is essentially, hold on one second. There we go. Can everybody see that? I think so. Yes, good. Okay. Following on from the panel, so our wonderful Jenny and Una have had to take leave. We had penciled them in sort of 6 till 7:15, and our conversation and dialogue has overrun slightly. So to that end, Jenny and Una are happy to be contacted if anybody wants to follow up with them directly and just kind of continue the conversation and ask their advice and just have those conversations. That's what this is all about. We do still have Karen on call, so hooray. When we move into our breakout sessions, we're going to have 3 breakouts. I will be facilitating one, Nicola will be facilitating the other, and Karen, if you're happy and the ladies can engage with you directly to just have those conversations, I will put you in a breakout room as well. In our breakouts, we're just going to talk about what we've heard tonight and how we feel and how we think that's going to inform our own journeys. Can everybody hear me okay?
And I'm thinking with the numbers on, it's entirely up to how you think, Fran, but I think we've got about 11 on the call currently. So probably two, well, yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah, I'm happy either way. We
Yeah.
might two breakouts might work okay actually.
Okay, super. Yes. However, you have the power of the host.
Oh
So
yeah, I'm the breakout lady. So
indeed,
we'll probably just create the one breakout. So one breakout and one main room.
keep everyone else in. Yep, that's
Perfect.
absolutely fine. Good. Okay. See, delegation, ladies, is the key. So as I say, the breakout rooms, very much like our first session, is just for us to have that open and honest conversation, talk about what we've heard tonight, what's resonated, how, you know, I've been paying attention to the chat whilst I've been, you know, managing the panel and the discussion, interesting themes and a lot of kind of resonance. Definitely, I can see that some of you are relating to some of the conversations that we've had thus far, and that's what I want. I want that to continue in the breakout sessions. Of course, the breakout sessions aren't recorded, so we will pause the recording whilst they're taking place, because these are essentially private and more open, honest conversations where you get to say what you're thinking, feeling, what you've taken from this evening, how it's going to inform how you want to engage going forward. As I say, what we've got on screen there is the upcoming sessions and some of the themes that we've talked about. So, for example, I'm going to use Karen as an example, who talked about her journey of financial resilience and kind of attaining and aspiring for financial security. And overcoming the barrier of a relationship breakdown, as many of us have and do and will, and etc. These are
let's
things.
hope not will for all. Hey,
well, no, certainly not. My wife is
we
literally
get
glaring at me from across the room. No, no, she's just slid the divorce papers across my desk. I'm only
the
joking.
optimist.
No, but you know, worst case scenario, we're putting advice and guidance in place. I've got the giggles now, guys. No, you know, Valentine's Day was just yesterday, so hopefully we can avoid any you know, boobs. But yes, moving on. Pragmatism is, we're going to look and we're going to discuss the themes, the barriers, and the barriers that you guys feel you're facing at this current point in time in life. What can we do? What can we facilitate? What can we bring to the table and add into these sessions and the peer support sessions as we move forward? You know, we had themes where we talked about last time about self-worth, value, chasing down that pay rise, making sure those customers are paying those invoices and respecting your professional boundaries and honoring your self-worth and your input. Absolutely, you know, Jenny highlighted that beautifully. Equally, we're going to talk about, and this is one of the themes that came up last time, housing. Some of us are in rented, some of us are in rented, and we're thinking, how on earth do I pay the rent in a cost of living crisis and dare to dream to save a deposit to buy a house? Well, you know, we're troubleshooting ideas and alternatives and all sorts.
And I spoke to somebody last night who we've been working with for, I don't know, 6 years or so, and they've done just that. So I might have to drag her in.
That's what I
just
want.
because, yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was so excited.
But that's exactly the point. It can, and it is being done every day. So what we find are personal barriers can be very quickly knocked down with the support and the guidance.
About 4 to 5 years, that one.
Hey, these things take time for sure. But you know, those are the things that we're going to talk about. So, Nicola, over to you with your tech wizardry. Allocate as you feel and see fit.
Well, what I've done, rather than have the pressure of choosing who goes where, I'm giving you the power to choose your own.
Okay.
What I'm also just going to quickly say, whilst we've kind of just flagged up those dates of what's coming up, is just a quick shout out, and it'll be coming out an email as well. You know, one of the barriers is money, money to sort something, a kind of quick fix or access to tech or legal support or anything really. What we can announce is that we have been able to secure some additional funding for this program. It's been a kind of piece it together kind of program all along, and we will have some small sort of, I'm calling it like a bursary award. It can be used for anything as long as it's legal, whether that's about you and your sort of personal needs. Most of it really is for your, you know, you to help yourself personally around something that you need to do. But it could also be used to help your sort of further growth, personal growth, or social enterprise venture growth. They're only tiny. It's like a, 150 to 250 pounds sort of bursaries, but we find, for certain incidentals or things that have cropped up, or we have now found a couple of places where you can get a reconditioned laptop for less than 200 quid, so we've got options, where people have been talking to us about things. We know 150 quid buys a chunk of time with a lawyer for a while, so whatever it is people are needing, there's an option, and there will be a little like a request form. It won't be anything as big as an application, but there'll be a kind of request form, and whilst we won't probably be able to fund every request that comes through, we're hoping we'll have at least 10 or 12 bursaries to be able to offer for people who are on our main programme, that who are accessing both the peer learning circles and the support that we've got here tonight as well. So that'll come out in an email, and if anyone's got any questions around that, they can talk to Fran, talk to me, and we'll work those through. So breakouts wise, we've got Karen's breakout room. So it's a vote with your feet, and we really won't get offended. We've got Karen's breakout room, and then there's Fran, and I'll be sort of hanging around and floating around these rooms. So do you want me to open these now, or do you want to just have a quick chat about what you've got on your screen?
Yes, indeed. So just for a bit of context, so in the breakout rooms, of course, we're thinking and ruminating on what we've heard tonight from our panel and how that's going to inform and also add value to what you're taking away from this program. And, Jan noted and Jenny noted, we love a bit of Maslow's hierarchy. And I've put this just for context because I want you to think about your financial resilience and your financial stability very much like Maslow's hierarchy. So, of course, I'm going to send this out to all of you afterwards because I love that you're going to have the resources and the context. And also you can read more about the timetable, more about Maslow's hierarchy, and of course our panel, which is lovely. This is what I want you to think about in your breakout room. On top of what we've discussed tonight, just have it in the back of your mind. What would be essential? What is your journey to financial resilience? What are the essentials that you need in your life, that we're going to build together? So whether it is learning how to budget more efficiently and more effectively, whether it is understanding how to save, where to save, what to save, how to save, relationships with banks and how to have those positive conversations in 2023, where it's not the case of knowing the bank manager and popping down the high street anymore. Debt management, these are things that we're going to talk about as well. Equally, then we're moving on to housing, legal support. You guys know this, all the bells and whistles. We will elaborate and, evolve as we go forward, but it's based on your needs, wants, and hopes from what this program can achieve. So bear that in mind. Breakout rooms, open and honest discussion. Karen and I will support you and direct the conversation as best we can, but it's over to you now, guys. So Nikayla, hit that magic button.
Rooms are open, and
there we go.
I'm going to pause our recording till we've had our breakouts.